How's it going, everybody? Chuck Holton here. I'm just wondering why people are honking down there like it's the end of the world. And it's not the end of the world. It's just Israel. Israelis like to honk. They honk for no reason, for any reason, just for fun. They just like to lay on that horn. And other than the fact that it's super annoying, it's one of the reasons why I don't like living in big cities. So I wanted to talk to you about what's going on in Israel today. We got a lot going on as usual. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to the news first for people who don't have a lot of time. And then I'm going to back up and talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. And then we'll go from there, okay? But first, I want to announce that we have some big news. And that is, I will be going live today at noon Eastern time, so in just about an hour, on Newsmax, on their YouTube channel. They saw the success of the YouTube channels of mine and CBN's, and they decided they wanted a piece of that action, so they got me to go live on their channel at noon. So it would be a big favor to me if you all would jump over there at noon and get on the Newsmax Live so that they can see some success and see how it works. And even if you just run it in the background, turn the sound off and just let it run, I'm going to be going through the day's news over there as well and trying to show them the possibilities with the YouTube Live thing. They've got a very big thank you, Javier. They've got a very big following. I think like 2.5 million subs on YouTube, but they haven't been doing lives for the most part, other than to replay some things from the convention and things like that. And so since they are giving this a go, I'd like to show them how it can succeed for them. And so you can be a part of that, help out. And so if you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button here on my channel and like the podcast as well. So let's talk about what's going on today. Israel has really gone on the offensive up in the north. I'm trying to do too many things at once here. They have gone on the offensive in the north, and so I just want to break down a couple of things that they've done. A bunch of airstrikes inside Lebanon. They have taken out a couple of large arms depots. These people, they just honk like crazy. They've taken out a bunch of large arms depots, and thank you, Sequest. And it's funny because this comes right on the heels of the video that Hezbollah put out of some very high-speed tunnels that they have with a whole bunch of weapons cached inside those tunnels. And thank you, Mars. I appreciate that. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but Israel's like, oh yeah, we can find those too. And they have blown up and really made Hezbollah mad. Apparently, you can tell how mad they are because they've been firing lots of rockets back at Israel. And, it's a real nuisance with them firing all these rockets and drones and everything. But in reality, it's not causing much. I'm saying in relation to what Hezbollah is spending in resources, money, time, effort, and human lives, they are not causing much damage inside Israel. They've started some fires, wildfires. We were up there yesterday. We could see the results of those wildfires. That's bad, of course, but that stuff will regrow. I mean, it's really dry up there, and a lot of that wild land area probably needed to get burned off anyway. I mean, we see where fires like that actually in out west will burn off the undergrowth and keep it from getting worse, and actually helps for next year, right? So that's bad, but it's not catastrophic. There was, a guy was wounded today in a missile strike. A bunch of Katyusha rockets came in and hit Kasserine, which is just north of Tiberias, and blew up his house, injured the guy. That's terrible, real tragedy for him. But they fired like 50 or 60 rockets. And so if, just in the greater scheme of things, again, please don't hear me saying that's not a tragedy. It's super bad that they blew up this guy's house, and they ought to be made to pay. But they spent millions of dollars worth of missiles to blow up one guy's house. And those are 50 or 60 missiles, the Katyusha rockets, they can't use again. Virtually everything that Hezbollah has is one-time use. And I mean, at the rate they're going, 50 or 60 a day, they'll be able to do this for a long, long time. There's no question about that. But that's what makes this strike on, these several strikes on Lebanon all the more powerful, because Israel's blowing up likely hundreds and hundreds of rockets and missiles all at once with one missile, okay? So they're exacting a heavy price from Hezbollah, to say nothing of the fact that they've killed, well, Hezbollah claims more than 400 Hezbollah fighters, but and civilians up there, but it likely is quite a bit more than that. So I want to just read this from Jewish Breaking News. IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari refuted Hezbollah's claims that its rocket barrage this morning targeted a military base, stating that the attack was aimed directly at the city of Kasserine. Hezbollah fired around 50 rockets at the heart of Kasserine, deliberately targeting Israeli civilians. As any nation would, we will take appropriate action to protect our citizens. And so they are doing so. They have, in the last 24 hours, done targeted killings. I'll just show you this. This is easier than putting it up for you here. I don't know if you can see that. That is a car in South Lebanon that is fully engulfed in flames after a drone strike struck that vehicle near the coastal city of Sidon. Now, I've been to Sidon, and so it's between Beirut and Tyre, south of Beirut, a couple hours. And it appears that nobody is safe. None of these Hezbollah fighters are safe, because that's one of two targeted killings they've done in the last 24 hours. And in the last 48 hours, they've blown up these two major ammunition depots. How do we know they were major ammunition depots? From the explosion. Now, I think I have one of them on here. No, that's not it. That's not it. There it is. That's one of them. So you see this, you see the rockets flying? Those are Hezbollah rockets that are cooking off. So the initial smoke, an explosion would have come from the bomb that Israel dropped on that, but all of the rest you see there is that's all rockets from Hezbollah that are cooking off. So they are really taking it to Hezbollah up there. One of the other things that we found that when we went up there yesterday was that when you get up close to the border, you can hear a lot of actual fighting back and forth across the border. So apparently the IDF is actually engaging in pitched battles across the border, or at least what they told us. Here comes obligatory ambulance from Magen David Adom. We must be on a main thoroughfare to the hospital or something. Off they go. They have the world's loudest ambulances. They're like ear-bleedingly loud. I don't know why an ambulance actually has to be that loud. I mean, I'm 7 stories up and it's painful. So thank you, Justin, for being here. Glad you're here. So we went up there yesterday and we found, as we moved along the border, just to the west of Kiryat Shimona, we found piles of brass on the Israeli side. Now, what I mean by that is that we found the casings of large amounts of ammunition that had been fired on the Israeli side of the border. So we asked some people about it, and they said, oh yeah, they have, Hezbollah is probing the border all the time. And so the Israeli army just fends them off by shooting at them. And that is not getting reported very much in the mainstream news. Some of them, like we found one pile of brass, I should have brought it up here to show you. I brought some of it home, of 40 millimeter grenade casings. They're about this big around, and the casing is about that tall. And then a high explosive grenade goes into that. And they have these basically grenade launcher machine guns that will fire like 400 of those a minute. So like bump, 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 bump. And they can fire them out to 400 meters, and they will definitely ruin somebody's weekend. You can take that to the bank. And we found a big pile of that brass at one place. And then I've also found 50 caliber brass, which is from a 50 caliber machine gun. 50 caliber machine gun is not for use against people, it's for use against equipment. And so that means that they were probably shooting at vehicles that were coming too close to the border. And then we found several places where there was small arms ammunition, or not ammunition, but brass scattered around. And so again, these guys are engaged with the enemy on a daily basis up there. While I was doing a couple of stand-ups, a couple different times up there, we heard machine gun fire back and forth across the border. So things are hotter on the northern border than you're being led to believe. And of course, people that were watching the live yesterday got to see us running for cover. I will show you that here in a second. We'll have to delete that and add one of these. Hang on just a second, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I just got to get over to my downloads here. So take a look at this clip from yesterday's live. I'll just show you just a short clip from what we did yesterday. Just in case. And I mean, there's a fine line between brave and stupid. Here we go again. Here we go again. Get down, get down. Ouch. Ow. Let's see. No? Probably another drone. Well, this is awkward. I'm sorry. So that's just a little bit of what happened. We had to run for cover like that about 6 times while we were in Kiryat Shimona yesterday. So obviously things are pretty hot up there. Now Hezbollah continues to threaten the apocalyptic major attack. But like I said, they're kind of getting behind in the cycle of retaliation here, because now they're actually retaliating for things that happened yesterday, and we've kind of moved on past the killing of Fuad Shukr, And so people are starting to wonder if they are actually going to retaliate for the killing of Fuad Shukr. It may be one of two things. Number one, Iran and Hezbollah may be trying to coordinate together and get their act together so that they can both attack at the same time. Or it may be that they just decided that discretion was a better part of valor and they're not going to attack. Everybody, including Hezbollah and Iran and Israel, are watching the Democratic National Convention with great interest. And what we've seen is that on day 2 of the Democratic National Convention, we're seeing that the Democrats go full on in support of Hamas. And so right now, from a political standpoint, would not be a great time for Hezbollah and Iran to strike a major blow against Israel, because it would likely make it a little harder for the Democrats to support the Palestinian cause in their run-up to the election. And would not surprise me if there were some messages flying back and forth between the White House or the administration in Washington and Iran, back channel, Hezbollah, back channel, saying, hey, you think you guys could cool it a little bit until November? And then we'll have a little more leeway to put pressure on Israel. But we got to get reelected first. And this is something that I was reporting on yesterday that is absolutely insane. And if you watched yesterday's live, I mentioned it too, but it bears mentioning again. I did some research and found out, while we were up there, first, this is how this started. We were up there, we were interviewing people in the north, and we kept being told that the Lebanese army, okay, so you got to understand, these are two separate entities, Lebanese army and Hezbollah. The Lebanese army is actually run by a Maronite Christian, because in the Lebanese constitution, the president and the head of the military have to be Maronite Christians. The vice president, I think, has to be Sunni, and the prime minister has to be Shia or something like that. So they split among the three major groups in Lebanon. But so the head of the military is a Maronite Christian, but he's a real politician, let's put it that way. And you can imagine there's a lot of corruption in the Lebanese army. The Lebanese army is quite a bit weaker than Hezbollah. And so if Hezbollah comes to the Lebanese army and says, you're going to do this for us, they pretty much have to do that. They are probably going to do that. But we were also told that a lot of the soldiers in the Lebanese army are Shia, as is Hezbollah. And so these Shia soldiers, their brothers and cousins are in Hezbollah. And so a lot of these soldiers have sort of divided loyalties. And indeed, many of them actually moonlight as Hezbollah troops. So what that means is that the training that's provided to the Lebanese soldiers, hey, thank you, Lady Ray. I'll get to your question in a second. The training that's given to the Lebanese soldiers, the weapons that are given to Lebanese soldiers, the ammunition given to those guys, even some of the equipment perhaps. I was looking on the Defense Video Image Distribution channel today, and there's a video on there of Lebanese soldiers receiving a bunch of U.S. military heavy equipment transports. A bunch of military trucks, basically, that the U.S. gave to the Lebanese military. Well, you can bet that, without a shadow of a doubt, some, if not much of that equipment is being borrowed from time to time by Hezbollah. Some of the ammunition is being used by Hezbollah. Some of the money being given to them is ending up in Hezbollah coffers. I mentioned yesterday that the United States gives the Lebanese army, this is mind-boggling to me. This just blows my mind. They give the Lebanese army about $300 million a year. That's your tax dollars going to support the Lebanese army. And why? Why would we do that? Why have we been doing that for more than a decade? Actually, probably a couple decades. Well, the whole point of us giving money to the Lebanese army is for them to keep a lid on Hezbollah, to keep the peace in Lebanon. And Lebanon is a train wreck. It's an absolute, the military in Lebanon is a clown show. It's a goat rodeo. It's so bad. And so, without a doubt, a good portion of the hundreds of millions of dollars, I mean, what if 30% of it is going to Hezbollah? It's $100 million a year. Now, that's less than Iran gives them, but it's still a significant amount. It's no wonder they're the most well-funded terrorist organization on the planet, because the United States is sending them money. So on top of the money they get from Iran, which is like $1 billion a year probably, and the money they get from the United States, they also have a massive, and I mean truly massive, organized crime syndicate that runs around the world. Everything from drugs to human trafficking in Latin America, that is funneling money to Hezbollah, to they have this weird Ponzi scheme kind of thing where they buy used vehicles in places like Mexico and Panama and Colombia and ship them to Africa and sell them there, and then the profit they make goes to Hezbollah. They are so well funded. So it's no wonder when we see that video of the, what am I trying to say? The tunnels, that the tunnels are so well built, that the guys are well equipped. They've got nice new motorcycles. They've got big trucks with missiles on them. It's no wonder they have all that stuff. They are getting a tremendous amount of support, but including from you. You've got to wonder, as the Israelis watch these rockets come over day in and day out, day after day after day, if, wow, somebody just paid us 100,000 somethings. IDR, I don't know what country is that, Raptor Lee? Thank you very much for that. It's very kind. I hope that's 1 for 1 in dollars. That'd be great. There are huge amounts of Lebanese in Africa, David says. Right. So you got to wonder how the Israelis would feel if they knew that the United States was sending $100 million a year to Hezbollah, or even $1 million a year is $1 million too much. There's probably better things that we could be doing with that money. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, again, on top of that, there is this organization in Lebanon that was put there in 1973 by the United Nations called UNIFIL, the United Nations Independent Force in Lebanon. And does anybody, oh, Indonesian rupiah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. The United Nations Independent Force in Lebanon has been there since 1973. They've got peacekeepers from around the world, places like China, yikes, places like Ireland, Ghana, stuff like that, soldiers from those countries who are supposed to be keeping the peace south of the Litani River and making sure that Hezbollah is not there. Obviously, that's a giant failure, and we're told that they have to actually get permission from Hezbollah if they want to go anywhere south of the Litani River. And so, excuse me, so that's not really a great use of UN money, but more than 25% of the UN's budget, or thereabouts, right around 25%, is provided by the United States. So the UNIFIL, their budget every year is $800 million. And so about a fourth of that, you say there's a smudge on the lens? Is there a smudge on the lens? I don't see the smudge, sorry. Can't see it. About a fourth of that is being provided by the U.S. taxpayer once again. So this is obviously not a great thing. All right, I'll switch over to the MacBook camera for a second, and I will wash off the lens if I didn't know there was a smudge on it. But thank you for letting me know. Let me get a towel. I'll be right back. Here I am. Okay. Let's see if we can clean that lens. You'll have to let me know if I got it. No smudge. Well, right now there's not a smudge because I'm using a different camera, but I'll go back to the good camera here in a second. I'm using the backup. All right, so is the smudge gone? You'll have to let me know. Turn off that mode. So I want to mention one more time, folks, just for those of you who are just getting here, that big news today is that in about 30 minutes, I'm going to be going live on Newsmax. And that'll be the first time I've ever done a YouTube live on Newsmax. As a matter of fact, it'll be the first time Newsmax has done a YouTube live like this, where you can actually comment and ask questions. So I want to go back and answer the questions. I saw a couple go by, and I promised you I'd get back to them. Lady Ray says, if by the time you're scheduled to leave Israel and the conflict gains way more action, will you be staying longer? Perhaps, Lady Ray. I have about a week's leeway, but I'd really like to go home and see my wife before I have to go off to Armenia again. Live Animal says, why is the U.S. so worried about the imminent attack? If Hezbollah canceled the attack, why would Iran send so many trucks to Lebanon if it doesn't want to attack? Well, Iran has been sending a lot of equipment and trucks to Lebanon. The Israelis have been trying to blow those trucks up, and with some success, recently. And Hezbollah has not canceled the attack. They just say they're delaying it. Somebody came out from Iran yesterday and said there may be a long lead time before our retaliatory attack for the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. And I said, if we back up, if you remember, I said, back when they were threatening this big attack, and they were saying it was going to happen on the 12th of August, that was almost 10 days ago already. They were saying, I was saying, there's 5 things they could do, and the smartest of those 5 things would be to do nothing and just keep trying to make Israel stay on high alert, because it's costly for Israel to have to stay on high alert, and it costs Iran and Hezbollah nothing. They won't get a massive retaliatory strike from Israel if they don't attack, if they just threaten. So, that would be the smartest thing to do. Well, it turns out that's what they chose to do. Now, as I mentioned, the whole point of this live is to point out that Israel is not waiting around for them to strike, but they are aggressively going after Hezbollah. And that's partially because Hezbollah continues to fire 50 or 60 missiles a day into Israel. I just now got this message. The IDF confirms an airstrike near Sidon that killed the Fatah official Khalil Makdah. He was the brother of senior Fatah member Munir Makdah, who Israel has long accused of collaborating with Hezbollah and the IRGC. The IDF and Shin Bet report that the Makdah brothers have been aiding terror cells in Judea and Samaria by transferring money and weapons from Lebanon. So you've heard me point out before that Iran is trying to develop another proxy inside the Judea and Samaria, the West Bank area, and that means things are getting more dangerous in there. When we were talking to the guys from HaYovel a couple days ago who live up there, they were saying, yeah, it keeps getting worse and worse up here. They said when we try to drive to the store now or have to drive to the city or something, and we have to drive through some of those B zones that are administered by the Palestinian Authority, they will put rocks in the road, try to make you stop and then throw rocks at you. There's a lot of rock throwing going on against Israeli civilians that are driving through that area in recent days. And so they are stepping up that. Of course, the IDF is also taking out Hamas operatives and leaders inside all that area as well. So this war is nowhere close to over. Nowhere close to over. The second Israeli airstrike in Lebanon today, well, hold on a minute. What was the first? The first one was a wanted Palestinian Arab terrorist leader. I don't have the name here. And the second one was this Makdah brother that was killed there. The rockets that were fired into Israel this morning caused pretty bad damage to a guy's house and injured a guy. I got a picture of it right here. Let's see if you can see that. Let's see if we try the MacBook camera. It might work better. There we go. So this is the guy's house that got blown up. He was injured by shrapnel. It sounds like he's going to be okay. There was also a large, a lot of those rockets were shot down by the Iron Dome system. You can see here, all those puffs of smoke are Iron Dome rockets that are shooting those down. So plenty of action going on up in the north. In the south, things are moving right along. You heard that they had, go back to that camera. You heard that they had found the bodies of 6 Israeli hostages, and I had reported falsely yesterday that all of those hostages were believed to be killed on October 7th, and then their bodies taken into Gaza. It turns out at least one of them was known to be alive inside Gaza and was killed sometime after October 7th. These were 80-year-old men. Some of them were fairly old, but still very sad day. One of the guys who was killed, his wife was also taken hostage, and she had been released in the swap that they did in November. So it's a very sad day for her, obviously. Here's a question. I'm supposed to land there on 9/2. My airline, Lufthansa, has suspended to 8/26. Do you plan on leaving in a week? In a week, if you do. Right now, a lot of the airlines are saying that they will be operating the first week of September, except for American. I think American canceled all their flights for like the rest of the year or something. But I have tickets on, it might have been United to get out of here right now, and that may change. It just depends on what happens. Right now, things are fairly calm, and the airlines are starting to, come back in. But we don't know. We don't know. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to end it right here because I want to get prepared for my live on Newsmax. So that's coming up very shortly. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go over right now and just see before we go if I can give you a link to that because they should have it scheduled now. Let's go here to Newsmax and see. Oh, yep, there it is. I just saw it. Chuck Holton live from Israel. And so I hit notification. That's good. We've already got some people that are commenting over there. Some of you guys, thank you very much for that. Again, we want to show Newsmax that this can be a popular forum because they've never tried this before. And so if you'll go over there and leave a comment, like and subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff, it will really help Newsmax to see the benefit of this kind of interactive news. So thank you for those of you that are doing that. We got 41 people waiting over there. I'm going to end this broadcast, and you guys can go over there and just, like I said, even if you just open it up on a window on your computer screen and then mute that screen, set it off to the side, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of the same stuff. It would help a lot just to show Newsmax that this can work. So please go to chuckholton.com and follow over there. I'm going to be putting up articles and videos and stuff that I can't show on YouTube. So that would be good. And we'll see you again on this channel tomorrow. Okay? God bless you. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you next time.